Soft piano music fades in. The camera pans across a glowing wedding hall, fairy lights, champagne flutes, laughter. The voice of Ava begins, calm yet layered with emotion. Ava, Vio. They say weddings bring families together. I guess they do, just not always the way you expect. My brother, Ethan, looked radiant in his tux. His bride, Madison, floated down the aisle like something out of a magazine cover. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect everything. Dad's chest puffed with pride, Mom dabbed tears from her eyes, and everyone around me seemed to melt into that moment of celebration. And me? I stood there, champagne glass in hand, a practiced smile on my lips, every inch of me polished and composed. When Dad turned toward me, his face beaming, his voice carried over the music like a casual punchline wrapped in love. "Your brother's wedding was perfect," he said. "When will it be your turn, Ava?" For a heartbeat, I froze. Then I smiled. The kind of smile that hides years of unspoken history. He didn't mean harm. None of them ever think they do. But those words, "When will it be your turn?" echoed louder than the music, sharper than the clinking of glasses. He didn't know how many times I'd already walked down an aisle of my own, not toward love, but toward survival. I lifted the glass, let the bubbles touch my lips, and smiled again. Because some stories aren't told over wedding cake, they're buried beneath it. Beat. Her eyes flicker toward the exit, and the camera follows as she steps outside into the cold night air. "When will it be my turn?" I whispered. "You have no idea, Dad." Wind rushes as Ava steps outside the wedding hall. The night air carries faint laughter from inside. Her gaze drifts upward to the string lights, then fades into memory. The screen dissolves to a warm, sunlit kitchen from years ago. Ava, Vio. It wasn't always this way. There was a time I still believed that if I worked hard enough, stayed polite enough, they'd finally see me. I can still smell Mom's lemon cleaner and burnt toast from that morning. I was 23, fresh out of college, my head full of plans that didn't fit into our small-town expectations. Dad sat at the table reading the paper, the sound of his coffee spoon clinking like a ticking clock. "Ava, when are you going to get serious?" he said without looking up. "About what?" "About life. About marriage. You're not getting any younger." I remember my laugh, small, nervous, cracking in the middle. "I just got offered a job in New York. Marketing firm. It's a big opportunity, Dad." He finally looked at me then. The look said everything. Disappointment wrapped in disbelief. "So you're really going to run off and chase city nonsense? You think those people care about you?" "It's what I've worked for," I said quietly. "You're wasting your time," he snapped. "You're supposed to build a family, not chase dreams." Mom tried to soften it, but even her sighs sounded like surrender. I felt my throat tighten. That was the moment, the fracture that never really healed. The flashback sharpens. Ava's hands tremble as she folds her acceptance letter. She glances at her grandmother's photograph on the shelf, silver-haired, gentle eyes, holding a small locket. "Ava, Vio. My grandmother, Evelyn, used to tell me, the world won't clap for you until you stop asking it to." That day, I finally understood what she meant. I walked upstairs, packed a single suitcase, and slipped the locket from her photo frame into my palm. It was warm, somehow, like she knew I needed courage more than approval. When I came back down, Dad didn't say a word. He just kept reading the paper, pretending not to see me leaving. The taxi door shut behind me, and with it, the last bit of the girl who always waited for permission. The flashback fades. The rumble of the taxi engine melts into the hum of city traffic years later. Ava, Vio. I didn't know if I was running away or running toward something. But I knew one thing. I was finally choosing myself. The hum of city traffic fades in. Horns, footsteps, distant sirens. The camera follows Ava stepping out of a yellow cab, suitcase in hand, staring up at the tall New York skyline. Ava, Vio. New York didn't care who I was. And for the first time, I found that comforting. My first apartment wasn't really an apartment. It was a box above a deli that smelled like onions 24 hours a day. The shower hissed more air than water, and the radiator sounded like a drum solo every night. But it was mine. The first few weeks were brutal: rejections, cheap takeout, loneliness that sat heavy in my chest. I cried quietly some nights, the city lights flickering against my window like distant stars I couldn't touch. But every morning, I woke up and tried again. I landed a junior position at a small digital agency, unpaid at first, but it was a start. The boss, Claire Harrison, was everything my father said a woman shouldn't be: outspoken, sharp, fiercely respected. She saw something in me before I saw it in myself. "You've got instinct," she told me once. "Now grow a spine to match it." Her words became my armor. I worked long nights, sometimes until dawn, learning design software, pitching ideas, fixing mistakes no one else wanted to touch. I brought energy, creativity, and slowly, clients started noticing my work. One day, after months of quiet grinding, Claire called me into her glass office. "You're ready," she said. "I'm making you lead on a new campaign." It was a fashion startup, small budget, big expectations. I poured every part of me into it: sketches, late nights, coffee-fueled revisions. When the campaign went viral, the company's name, and mine, spread faster than I could believe. That project changed everything. I started getting calls, offers, opportunities I'd only dreamed of. But even then, I didn't tell my family. I'd post a birthday photo here, a coffee cup there, nothing more. Because success didn't feel like something I needed to prove anymore. It felt like something sacred, a quiet, personal victory between me and the version of me who almost gave up. Montage plays: Ava moving into a better apartment, her office filling with plants and art, laughter with coworkers, the locket from her grandmother hanging near her desk lamp. Ava VO. The locket stayed with me through it all. I'd touch it before every meeting, every risk, every leap. It reminded me who I was doing this for, not to impress, but to become. Years passed. My agency grew. Claire retired and sold it to me. Her only condition was simple: run it your way. And I did. I built a space where women like me could walk in, be seen, be heard, be valued. But no one back home knew. They still thought I was just working somewhere in marketing. They didn't ask for details. And I didn't offer them. Until my brother's wedding invitation arrived. Gold edges, elegant script, with a little handwritten note from Dad at the bottom. "Can't wait to see you, sweetheart. It's been too long." The camera lingers on her face, a mix of pride, longing, and something unresolved. Ava VO. He was right. It had been too long. Long enough for everything to change. Soft jazz hums beneath the scene. The camera follows Ava, dressed in a sleek navy dress, stepping out of a black car. She walks through the glowing lights of her brother's wedding reception. Her heels click against marble, each step steady, self-assured. Ava VO. I'd missed birthdays, holidays, years of dinners filled with the same questions I was too tired to answer. But tonight wasn't about me. It was Ethan's night, and for once, I wanted it to stay that way. The ballroom glittered like something from a movie, chandeliers dripping with crystal, violins humming softly. People I hadn't seen in years hugged me like we'd never stop talking. Mom fussed over my hair. Dad complimented my dress. It was all normal. Too normal. But normal doesn't last. Later that night, after the toasts and dances, Ethan found me standing near the bar. He smiled, the same boyish grin I remembered from our childhood. "You look great, Ava. It's good to have you here." "I'm proud of you," I said. "You and Madison, you both deserve this." He hesitated, eyes softening. "Dad's been talking about you a lot. You know, wondering what you've been up to." I almost laughed. What I've been up to, like my entire life, was a mystery postcard no one had ever tried to read. A few days after the wedding, while Ethan and Madison were on their honeymoon, my parents called. "We'd love to see where you work," Mom said. "Just for a little tour." I agreed. Maybe a part of me wanted them to finally see me, not the version they imagined, but the woman I became. Cut to a sleek Manhattan building with floor-to-ceiling glass. The camera follows Ava leading her parents through the modern lobby, marble floors, art installations, her company's name etched in silver on the wall. Morgan and Co., creative agency. Mom's voice trembled. Morgan, that's your last name? It is, I said softly. We entered the main office, sunlight pouring through tall windows. Employees greeted her with respect, smiles, and quick nods. Someone handed her a schedule, another brought coffee, her name printed neatly on the mug. Dad looked around, silent. His eyes landed on the awards along the glass shelf. Best Campaign of the Year. Forbes 30 Under 30. CEO of the Year, Ava Morgan. He blinked slowly, like his brain was buffering. You built this. I nodded. Yes, Dad. Every inch of it. Silence hung heavy. Not the angry kind, but the kind that cracks open years of misunderstanding. Mom's eyes glistened. Why didn't you tell us? Because, I said, my voice steady, you only ever listened when I was who you wanted me to be. Beat. The camera moved slowly around the office, the art on the walls, the team working confidently, the quiet rhythm of success built from silence. Ava, VO. I didn't say it to hurt them. I said it because it was the truth. Dad sat down on the edge of the conference table, his hands trembling slightly. I thought you were struggling. I was, I said, for a long time. But that's how I learned. He looked up at me, his voice softer than I'd ever heard it. Ava, I was wrong. I smiled, the same small, knowing smile I wore at the wedding. Yeah, Dad, I said quietly. You were. He exhaled, long and slow. The camera zooms out, sunlight framing Ava's face, her grandmother's locket catching the light on her collarbone. Ava, VO. That moment wasn't revenge. It was release. The weight I'd carried for years finally lifted, one quiet truth at a time. Scene opens in Ava's glass-walled office. Afternoon sunlight softens everything. Her parents sit across from her, still processing the truth. Ava leans against her desk, composed, calm, but her eyes glimmer with old emotion. Ava, VO. It's strange how the same people who once told you what your life should look like suddenly wait for your approval to breathe. Dad was still staring at the plaques on my wall, his voice low. You did all this without us? Yes, I said. And not because I didn't want you there, but because every time I tried to show you who I was becoming, you told me who I should be instead. Mom's fingers trembled as she twisted her wedding ring. We thought we were protecting you. You were protecting me from a life that didn't exist anymore, I said softly. From the version of womanhood that ends at the altar. A quiet beat. The city hum fills the silence. Dad finally met my gaze. I don't even know what to say. Then don't, I said gently. Just listen. Ava moves around the room slowly, her heels clicking like punctuation marks between her words. Ava, VO. For the first time in my life, they were silent, and I had the floor. I'm not angry, I told them. But I won't let old expectations keep deciding how I live. If you want to be part of my life now, it has to be on new terms. Mom looked up, eyes wet. What terms? I smiled faintly. Honesty. Respect. And no more jokes about when it'll be my turn. Her tone is soft, but there's power behind every syllable. If you really want to support me, I continued, then start supporting other women who don't follow the rules you grew up with. Stop measuring our worth by who we marry or how we fit into your story. Dad's jaw tightened, but not defensively this time. More like realization sinking in. You're right, he said finally. We've been blind. Maybe, I said, but you can still change. We all can. She walks to the window. The skyline glows gold. Her reflection stares back, calm, fulfilled, certain. Ava, VO. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just stands tall and speaks softly, without apology. There's one more thing, I added, turning toward them. You always said family should help each other. So help me differently this time, not by arranging, fixing, or advising, but by believing. Mom covered her mouth, crying quietly. We're proud of you, Ava. Truly. I nodded, a gentle warmth spreading in my chest. Good, I said. Because I'm proud of me too. Dad stands slowly, hesitating, then opens his arms. Ava steps forward, letting herself lean into the embrace. Not as a daughter seeking approval, but as a woman offering grace. Ava, VO. It wasn't the apology I once dreamed of. It was better, it was real. The three of them stand together, sunlight wrapping them like forgiveness itself. Ava, VO. Sometimes, the only way to teach people how to love you is to show them who you became without their permission. Scene opens at Ava's apartment, evening. Warm light spills across the walls, highlighting photographs of her travels, campaigns, and the locket from her grandmother resting on the desk. Ava sits on the sofa, a cup of tea in hand, reflecting. Ava, VO. The weeks after the wedding were quieter than I expected. But quiet doesn't mean empty. Dad called, not to ask for details, not to judge, just to check in. Mom stopped by one afternoon, helping me rearrange a few shelves, laughing at a broken coffee mug I had insisted on keeping. Even Ethan sent a framed photo of his honeymoon with a note. Wish you were there, Ava. You should be proud of yourself. Ava touches the locket gently, closing her eyes. Ava, VO. The locket still rests near me. It doesn't whisper courage anymore. It whispers truth. I chose myself. I built my life on my terms. And finally, the people I love can see me for who I am, not the version they wanted me to be. She steps to the window, city lights glittering below, the hum of life soft but persistent. The camera pans across the skyline, reflecting her calm strength. I think about the wedding, Dad beaming, the same words he always says. When will it be your turn? I smile, the kind of smile that holds years of quiet victories, tears, and lessons. It already is, I whisper to the night. It's been mine all along. Her phone buzzes, a message from a young woman at her company, seeking advice. Ava types a reply, smiling at the mentorship she can now offer without fear or hesitation. Ava, VO. I learned that family, love, success, they're not about waiting for permission or approval. They're about standing tall when the world doubts you and letting the right people catch up. The camera lingers on her desk, the locket, her awards, a small framed note from her grandmother. Believe in yourself, always. She picks it up, holding it close. Ava, VO. I used to think happiness was a wedding, a partner, a life someone else approved. Now I know. Happiness is quiet, deliberate, and entirely yours. Soft music swells as the camera pulls back, showing Ava framed in the city's glow, serene, confident, at peace. I used to wait for my turn, she whispers, a soft smile playing across her lips. Turns out, I've been living it all along. Fade out.